Hagen Circus, the show of shows. While Hagen Circus Troupe is rehearsing in readiness for the gala opening of their Sydney season, a strange drama is being played with the lives of the family. Christine Hagen meets her former lover, Grant Andrews, who tells her he is giving himself up to the police. But once again, Andrews lies to Christine, with the result that the girl finds herself wanted by the police for assisting Andrews escape the law. Added to the family's worries is the fact that they believe this knowledge has fallen into the hands of Louis Little, curious dwarf with the troupe. In an endeavor to discover something of his past, Gail Hagen and Jim Cameron enter the dwarf's room during his absence, and Cameron determines to open a mysterious trunk, hitherto carefully guarded by Little's giant partner, the Dutchman Hansen.
Jim, be careful.
All I want to do is to lift the lid and take a peep. Right now. Here goes. Oh, darn the thing. I might have guessed as much.
What's the matter?
It's locked.
Oh, but there's no padlock on it.
No, that's what fooled me. And there's a lock let into the wood. See? There's the keyhole. Now, just a minute.
Oh, Jim, what are you doing?
I'm trying to get a peep inside. It's hopeless. The lid fits too tightly. I wonder if it's heavy. Gail, look, it's quite light. See, I can lift one end quite easily.
Oh, put it down, Jim, put it down.
Gail, there's something very strange about this trunk. Why did that Dutchman pretend the chest was so heavy?
Jim, dear, let's go.
Not until I've got to the bottom of this mystery.
Oh, darling, you're trying to make a problem out of something that's very simple.
Simple?
Of course. When the Dutchman brought that trunk in here, it was filled with their properties, just as they said it was.
Well, then why is it suddenly so light?
Because they've taken them out. You said the dwarf and his partner were rehearsing over on the lot tonight. Naturally, they'd want their equipment over there.
Oh, of course. Darling, you've got a very intelligent head on those pretty shoulders. Well, that's the explanation of the whole thing.
Now that we've solved it, Jim, let's get out of here. If anyone catches us, we'll never hear the last of it.
All right. I say, as amateur burglars, we're not very successful, are we?
Perhaps it's just as well. Oh, it's good to be out of there. Don't forget to lock the door behind you, Jim.
I'll fix it. Come on.
For heaven's sake, be careful when you're putting that key back, Jim. You don't want any of the maids
Just a minute, Gail.
Jim, what is it?
You say you believe that Little and Hanson took their equipment out of that trunk tonight.
Of course.
In which case there'd no longer be any need for secrecy.
None whatsoever.
Then why is that trunk locked?
Locked?
You heard me. Why lock an empty trunk?
Jim!
I'm sorry, darling, but your explanation just doesn't hold water. Look at it this way. Little says that trunk holds valuable equipment so novel that they don't want anyone to see it until the show opens. Right. We open in 2 days' time.
Yes?
If Little and Hanson are rehearsing with that equipment, then it's no longer a secret. Everyone connected with the big top, even the Tin Hands, will have seen it by this time. You agree on that?
Naturally.
Then, if it's no longer necessary to keep that equipment secret, why lock the trunk?
Oh, I don't know.
Neither do I, but I'm going to find out.
How?
I'm going back into that room and force that trunk open.
Jim! Look, Jim, are you crazy? They'd know they'd see the marks.
All right, let them.
But you can't do a thing like that. What we've done's bad enough, but this... No, Jim, you mustn't do it.
But you agree that there's some mystery connected with that box.
Well, it seems like it,
And yet
Jim.
you're not prepared to take the risk of finding out?
Darling, you can't go breaking open the private property of other people. There's a law against that sort of thing. Little would bring the police down on us.
I think you've forgotten something.
What?
In any case, whether we touch that trunk or not, Little may bring the police down on us.
Oh, then let me talk to Daddy about this.
No, Gail.
Why not?
Because he'd never permit this thing. Mr. Hagen is one of the most honorable men that ever walked on two legs. Because he's like that, he's no match for men like Louis Little.
No. Now you're making Mr. Little out to be some kind of monster.
I'm making him out to be what he is, Gail. A curious little man with a curious big secret. That locked trunk proves it. If we're going to fight him with his own weapons, we've got to know that secret.
But this is ridiculous.
Why?
Well, we're just ordinary people. You're making all this sound like something out of a book.
Ever heard the saying that sometimes truth can be stranger than fiction?
Of course I have, but
But what, Gail?
I'm certain that you're building up something horrible and sinister out of nothing at all. Even if you do open that trunk, you'll probably find it's empty.
In that case, I'll take back everything I've said about Little and his partner. Do you give me leave to try, Gail?
No.
Then I'm afraid I must do it without your consent.
Jim!
You might as well know my faults as well as my virtues, Gail. I've got a stubborn, obstinate streak in me that sometimes pops up to the surface. This is one of those times.
Oh, Jim, please.
I'm sorry, darling, but there it is. I might as well know about it sooner or later. Once I get an idea into my thick head, I've got to go through with it. Happened several times during the war.
But this isn't the war.
I know, Gail. But there's still battles to be fought. Battles against treachery and cunning. Sometimes I think war's easier because, well, then you know your enemy. Well, darling?
Oh. You've left me nothing to say. If that's how you feel about it, Jim, there's nothing I can do except...
Except what?
Except say this. If there's any trouble, I'll stand with you, Jim. Remember that. We're in this together.
Well, so there you are, Edgar.
You know something, John?
What?
For an ordinary, commonplace family, you have all the genius of getting into hot water.
Oh, that's not being much of a help, Edgar.
I think you're worrying too much, John. Let's look on the very blackest side of all this. Say the police do find out that Christine was mixed up with Andrew's escape.
Well?
The only thing you can do is to admit the truth of it. Tell them that Christine honestly believed that rascal was sincere when he said he was giving himself up.
Yes, but there's bound to be a lot of notoriety.
I think you're overestimating the damage that can be done, John. My old lecturer at the university once said to me that yesterday's papers can never be found. In other words, people have very short memories.
Not where scandal is concerned.
Mind you, all this is assuming first that Louis Little overheard that you were what you were saying. And secondly, that he's going to open his mouth. You can't be sure of either of those things. So why cross your bridges before you come to them?
Well, perhaps I do worry too much.
You should take a leaf out of Annie Weatherwax's book. I doubt if that old dear would worry if the skies fell on her. And as for scandal, well, it doesn't seem to have done her any harm.
But Annie's a law unto herself.
Yeah, she's made it so. She just breezes through life, thumbing her nose at circumstances, not giving a tuppenny piece for anybody.
And a fine state the world would be in if we all did that.
If you ask me, John, the world couldn't be in a much worse state than it is already. Well, to change the subject, how's Christine taking this fresh blow?
About Andrews?
Yes. I only asked because she was getting on so well. I'd hate if anything happened to throw her back at all.
Well, to tell you the truth, she's taken it much better than I'd hoped.
Really?
I've an idea that she's been so cruelly hurt that she's developed a kind of armor. Though deep down she probably suffers all the more. You see the things. Oh, there's someone outside now. That may be Chris.
Call her in.
Is that you, Chris? Why, Hanson.
Did you call me, Mr. Hagen?
No?
Someone called.
Oh, I called, but I thought it was my daughter outside. Didn't you go with Mr. Little to the lot this evening?
Yeah.
Well, then you've finished rehearsing over there.
Finished? Nein. I have finished. Yeah. And then Louis say, can I find my way back here on my own? I say, I think I can. And see, I am back, all on my own.
Good.
This Louis think always he is the clever one. But now I show him that I am clever too. To find one's way home in a big city, that is good. Yeah?
Yes. Very, very good indeed. Now, Mr. Hansel, if you'll excuse us, we're rather busy.
Soon I learn to go out on my own. Without Louis. Yeah, quite alone.
How you can stand that monster of Badger's more than I can fathom. He gives me the horrors.
I thought it was the dwarf you didn't like.
I don't, but this chap makes my flesh creep. All that enormous strength and power governed by a brain of a 10-year-old child. Have you ever thought what would happen if that Moran suddenly went berserk?
But there's no reason why he should.
Don't be too sure, old man. With an atrophied intelligence like that, you're sitting on a keg of dynamite. Here you are worrying about what might happen to Christine when you've got a mountain of potential trouble right under your nose.
Oh, nonsense. Hansen is perfectly harmless. I know that type of man. They're not nearly as rare as you might... Why, what was that?
A woman screaming.
Why, it's Gale.
Come on. Here she comes, running for her life.
Gale, in heaven's name.
Daddy, quickly! It's killing him! Stop him, Daddy!
Gale!
It's Hanson, he's got Jim in that room. They're fighting. Daddy, Jim will be killed. You better do something, Daddy, quickly!
Good heavens. Come on, Edgar. If what Gale says is true, it looks as though you'll be needed. Come along.
Playford's warning about the Giant Dutchman has come true. But has Jim Cameron succeeded in opening the curious trunk before Hanson's brutal attack? Follow this fascinating serial in the next episode of Hagen Circus, written by Max Afford.